Welcome back to a second episode of Check Game. Me and your boy Al Williams and your homeboy Fats. To start this podcast off, I want to say thank you to all the subscribers and anybody that gave us a like, any comments, anything that showed us some love. We definitely want to say thank you and appreciate that. So let's get into the second episode. What's up with you, Al?
What's up, Fats? How you doing, man?
I'm back in AZ doing me. What's up with you?
Nigga, so cool. AZ doing you. Nah, man, it's good, man. Don't get no better than that, dog.
I feel the same way about it. Let's get right into some of this. You said you wanted to talk about the relationships or the expectations in relationships when it comes to athletes or entertainers versus and dealing with family members. I was one that wanted to say, like, if you don't put into my success, I don't think you should receive any. And what I mean by that is if you had parents at home that took care of the child, then I don't think he should be willing to open his pockets to anyone. Where I was in a situation where I'm from the hood, everybody pitched in. If I had received money, I felt that I owed everybody a little piece. And I think it's a good idea to get into this subject because people have expectations when you receive that amount of money and they think they should have a piece of it at their own thought process, not to say what you may go through or what your bills or what your family may need. It's just everybody put their hand out. And I'm just wanting to believe that if you didn't put into my success, I don't owe you anything. And I think that's an example of me and you where your parents took care of you. I wasn't there to pitch in. I wasn't there shooting with you in the gym. And so when it came to you getting on your feet and having money, I didn't expect that you owed me anything. I just took anything you gave me. But I can see how people may think, oh, my cousin's got millions, I should get a piece of that. I'm just wanting to believe if you didn't put into my success, I don't think you should get anything out of that. How do you feel about that?
I disagree with that. You know what I mean? Because I think when you give, when you make a decision to give, whatever, if it's monetary, if it's emotionally, if it's, you know what I mean, just your time, that's a choice that you make. And I think at the end of the day, a lot of the behaviors, a lot of the mind frame from people, whether you from humble beginnings, whether you from a higher class of income or whatever the case may be, it's a lack of understanding. Finances, man, always bring that emotional strain with our people, especially our people, because sometimes we feel like if one person make it, then they got the responsibility to take care of everybody, or look out for everybody, or behave, or be in a certain way. And that's not always the case. I think even somebody like yourself, and you and I used to have those conversations in Toronto. Yo, Fats, when you go back home, it's going to be different, dog. It's going to be different. A lot of people are going to look at you in a different way. A lot of people are going to expect, a lot of people are going to assume just because of our nature and our relationship. And I always try to tell you that. And one of the things you always say is like, dog, but these are my people. I gotta take care of them. If I come up, then it's people I gotta take care of, which I always respected. But I also knew the sustainability of taking care of everybody, even if it's emotional, dog. Sometimes you get drained emotionally to be there for somebody else because you got your own stuff going on. So I was fortunate where I'll tell you now, it ain't. I don't think it's one person. And if you're out there, my apologies, that could ever say they did anything for me from a standpoint of support financially, being there, taking me to games, even nobody can say, you know, I had to rumble that ball for him because he couldn't fight. Like, it was nothing that I really had to lean on nobody for. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, it's still a lot of people who helped me get to where I got to. Mm-hmm. And monetarily, it's not the only thing. So there's a lot of people that helped me, opened up the gym, made sure that I got to certain games, made sure and didn't give me a dime, but they still played their hand on my success. And it's all about how I want to take care of them or how I want to show love and appreciation.
No, I'm with that. And I mean, you in that position, and I just felt like even me, I didn't have the success you had, but I did well at some point. And a lot of people who didn't invest into any of that may have had their hand out. And I think me being a good guy, I'd always give it out. But I just been close enough to you to understand what you got, some people don't understand what else you have going on and what you may want for yourself.
Yeah.
It seems like it's hey, I need this, and if you don't give me this, it's like, oh damn, cuz you ain't looked me out. You know what I mean? But that's probably not a good feeling for you. But
Nah, man, that my fault, because that hurt. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, when you know you got a good heart and you got a mindset, you got a thing like that you want to help people out from a pure side.
mm-hmm.
I mean, you're pure with it, and I don't want nothing in return. I don't need nothing in return. I'm gonna treat you fairly. I'm gonna do, and it's family, it's close friends. And again, I was blessed. I was fortunate to have a family. I was fortunate enough to have the word of my house, my pop, and my pop right there. You see him, but then
big Al.
Yeah, you don't owe a crippled crab a crutch.
Damn.
You know what I mean? Like that was his thing. And the thing about it, he knew how much he invested in our family. He knew how we was raised. And the same way that I was able to take care of people in my family was the same way they took care of me. My sisters they last dime and go get me sneakers or go take me to the movies or give me a ride somewhere. You know what I mean? Sacrifice a lot. So my priority was always them. And with that even being said, I ain't have to get them nothing. You know what I mean? I just chose to, and it was appreciated. But at the same time, even you being your dynamic, once we made the decision to connect, and a lot of people don't realize you wasn't asking me for nothing. We shared time, we shared authentic time, we shared real conversation. You was pissed off at me, you wasn't holding your tongue. You would let me know what it was. And likewise, if it was you, I disagree with something, I would try to be more understanding because of your circumstances. But at times, we done bumped heads. We done bumped heads because you probably thought that I should have did something that I didn't do, or I said facts, not right now, or I say, hold up, and I don't respond in a way, and now you let down, and now me and you button heads. But the one thing I always respect, we was always able to talk it out and always come back around. But it wasn't always smooth from that angle. But again, one of the last things I say is everybody got to learn how to handle that type of success. You got to learn it. I got to learn the expectations. I got to do all these things. But at the same time, it's not just my responsibility, or it's not just the person that has the responsibility to take care of everybody. Because again, that ain't sustainable, dog.
No, I'm with you there. So I want to get into switch gears and talk about the yes men in sports. And I mean, me and you had this case where you knew that's the last thing I was to you, and because of that, me and you would bump because that's not in me to be a yes man, but in the atmosphere you live in, that person exists really high, and I want you to tell me how does that yes man feel versus dealing with Fats? You know what I mean? A yes man, like, yeah, cool. Fats is like, nah, Al. And me and you can go against each other for a minute because of that. But what is that like, you being you, having yes men and having somebody that's like, nah, Al, it's not like that. So just if you got a minute to elaborate on that.
Nah, for sure. And me, dog, I wasn't ever looking for a yes man. I ain't even know what that was. And if you was around me because of that, and the reason why you were saying yes is because of what you think you could get and not hurt my feelings. And I think people tippy-toed around that. You know what I mean? You and I was never looking at you to be a yes. That was never our relationship. I ain't never had nobody around me to follow. I need somebody to check me whenever I need to be checked because I'm the checker. If that ain't going right, me and Kat used to be, hey, Kat, let's not do that, dog. I'm not just going with the flow. It's too much at risk. And me and you talked about it before. Once you get to that level, a pro athlete, that job never turned off. So you're going to be held accountable every time, whether it's going to the store, whether it's going to church, whether it's going to a game, whether it's hanging with your family. Every time, any mistake or anything that you slip up with, that can affect everything. That affect the bottom line. So, but that yes man thing, that's a real thing because people want something at the end of the day. They want to get something. They never want to push your buttons in a way where they can't come back to you. And that's the sucker shit. But we also know that's what people are. You really find out who people are. And you find out to the day. Those people, when I was playing, it's a lot of people when I was playing and I was in the game and I was getting checks and pro checks and stuff like that. And it was cool to be around. I don't talk to a lot of people like that. Relationships change, man. But it's an understanding. That has to change because guess what? I'm not the same person. I got a family. I got crazy bills, and those checks still ain't coming. I got make sure I take care of everybody that I need to take care of for the time I'm here. So it's a lot of things that a lot of people don't understand, but at the same time, a lot of times it ain't even their fault, man. It ain't they just the way they was raised, the way they view society, the way people put the pressures and the emphasis on a pro athlete, especially a black athlete that comes from the inner city, that comes from the hood. They supposed to be the Robin Hood. They supposed to take care of everybody to hear that story. But you know what story come after that too? They ain't got it no more. And then the young people don't care about them no more because they had it, but they ain't got it. Forget what you did. It's what you're doing. So always that, man. So them yes men, X them out, man. You already know, man. That wasn't the thing. You recognize it, but that wasn't never our dynamic. And I never looked for nobody, you or nobody, to be the person that just pat my back all the time. You know, we from Philly anyway. They tell us we ain't shit before anything anyway. So, but that was always a dynamic. But I appreciated that, of course, dog. We kept real conversations, dog. You was one of the few people that I was really close to outside of my mom and dad, my sisters, that would be 100% honest all the time. I mean, whether you held back a few times and not the right time, but we always had authentic and real conversations, no matter how it rubbed us. Either way.
You just said something that's really important. You said, Fats, it's not their fault. And I want you to, we can both talk about it because that exists in my world where I've gotten to a space where I got to think for my opponent. I got to think for the people around me because they don't mean harm. They may not just know any better.
Right.
And I can't judge them in that way because their lack of knowledge and my gain of knowledge, because I'm able to see it. I shouldn't hold their feet to the fire to make them see it the way I see it. And when you said, hey, Fats, I'm not mad at them, that's me. You know what I mean? Like, I can understand why you may feel that way. I might have been in them shoes before, so I don't give you a harsh judgment for your harsh act against me. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you know why this is dope too, man? Because a lot of times you see other podcasts and you hear other athletes and entertainers and wealthy people or whatever, and you always get their perspective of what it feels like. People always grasping at them and grabbing at them. And then they become victimized. Like, damn, man, I would never want to be in that position. But what we don't hear is the other side. Like what you think, like how you think, your approach, your expectations, how you feel, because again, it ain't always your fault. Sometimes, guess what? Those yes men you talked about, sometimes people be paying for them to be around because that's what make them feel comfortable. That's what make them, they so insecure. They've been cornballs their whole life. They ain't do this. And now they got a game, or they got some money. Now they acting like they somebody that they really never was. You know what I mean? So what from your side, when you looked at me, and then we was young, and I'm at the peak of my career, and we had access to everything or things that we wanted to. What was you thinking?
I just thought it was access to things that I never would think I could have. It was unlimited money. You took me out almost every night to restaurants. It was a lot for me to take in coming from Diamond Street to, like, if you can remember, one day I told you, "Oh, this feel like cheating. Like, this is just a little too easy for me." You know what I mean? And things that came really fast, and money was thick. It was just it was a good time in life. And from my end, I don't know if I expected anything. I think I was just along for the ride because you was my cousin. I don't think I had my hand out. I had hustle in me. So, I appreciate the cars and everything you've done, but I don't think I was sitting there, with my hands folded, waiting on Alvin to give me anything. But the way you took care of me, it was just, it was something that I can't even put into words. Nobody ever on earth done that type of thing for me.
But it's like one of them things where the pressure is on you to make a decision for somebody else's habits or somebody else's lifestyle. And you find out people reach out to you to help their lifestyle. And it doesn't bring anything good to you. It doesn't even bring you a good feeling, because one thing it's never enough. One day, 2 days, and from anybody from a financial standpoint, You know what I mean? If you got a lot of money, you won't go broke for one purchase or two purchases. But the reoccurring expenses, the ones that may not be the ones that you're going to need for the next 30, 40 years of your life, because at some point this all ends. So, but when you start having those type of situations where people have their hands out or they have an idea of what they should be asking because of what you got, and it's not going to help nobody down the road. And another thing, man, I remember talking to a buddy of mine, $1 billion, that conversation. What would you do if you hit the lottery for $1 billion? And he started tripping on me when I was like, dog, I'm not giving nobody nothing. Nothing, dog. He said, you got $1 billion. I said, the thing about it's a mindset. Just like good habits, you develop bad habits. Bad habits will get you broke. And I said, but you know what I would do, which I wasn't prepared and I wasn't mentally, I wasn't sharp enough. I didn't know, I didn't have an understanding. But guess what? If you got a business endeavor or a venture, I'm gonna go in partnership with you. You ain't gotta go to no banks and get loans and all this stuff. You don't gotta go and get three or four other partners. You and I can invest in this thing. We can learn how to grow this business together. I'm invested, you invested, and I'm not just giving it to you. Because if I give you 5 million to start your own business and you lose that, I lost the 5 million. You ain't never have it. So I said I'll be more impactful and I'll be more responsible with the gifts. And now we all learning and we growing. Now we got ownership. So if I ever was in that position to hit $1 billion or that's, you know what I mean, astronomical, but it'll be more of a responsible way to make sure everybody was taken care of and everybody had their own lane and we had ownership. And now we really in them rooms. We had them tables with the big wigs. Like we really, it's a small percentage of people that can get in those rooms and just getting that access. That's what I would have responsibility. My family, my entire family and close ones, they had access to them rooms if I had that type of money instead of 10 here, 20 here, 15 here. Nah, that ain't how it's gonna work no more.
Mm-hmm. So that's one aspect of giving. I want you to tell me a little bit how you feel about remorse, how you feel about having having people around you that don't have. How's that work with you? Give me some of that?
That's a real thing. It's times when I really had to check myself, and it wasn't until I finished playing where I start losing sleep sometimes, wondering, am I doing enough? Or wondering why my sister may still be working, or why I'm with cousin and he got to do certain things, or I'm with this person and they can't treat to dinner, but I like to eat at Steak 48. I like to do this. And we going out and I'm like, damn, man, you know what? Let me take this bill, man, because I know what I'm gonna order. I know what I'm gonna drink. So never want to put that restrictions or make somebody feel less than, right? So although that's not all my responsibility, but that's a real feeling, dog. And it wasn't until I got to that point where I had 3 kids of my own. I had my responsibilities. And I gotta really dial in to forecasting how I'm gonna live like this for the rest of my life. And that goes away a bit, but to your point, man, that remorse, it's a real thing. Unjustifiably, but well, justifiably, it is justifiable, but it's one of those things that's not necessarily a fair feeling, but it's a real feeling.
Mm-hmm. Well, I could see that on you, even with me at times. So, like, if even when we go through shit, and I'd say, "Oh, I need this," even if you had an attitude about it, you almost felt guilty of not giving it to me. You know what I mean? Like, Fats asked for some shit, and I felt like I'm almost the last person you want to say no to, even if it is a no. Like, fuck, Fats. You know what I mean? I don't want to do it for you this time. And I could see like there was some not sympathy, but almost look at I got this much, he got this. I just think that's not a fair component in any relationship.
Yeah.
I think what you got is what you got, and what I got is what I got. And if we could be friends, let's be friends. Like I said in our last episode, that pocket watching thing is a real thing. And that's just a human trait where we talked about trying to understand why that human behaves that way, that we're not going to get upset if somebody shows us that behavior. But it's a real thing. And I just hope you got out of that space, or getting out of that space and learning more. It's just not
Yeah.
it's not something you can keep doing, you know?
I'm out of that, and I've been out of that. And as I said, my dad, I wouldn't give a crippled crab a crutch. Like that wasn't sayings, but it's one of the things like you said, people pocket watch, but they only see what they want to see. Because and I know I wouldn't talk to you about no issues. I wouldn't talk to you about if this was happening or that was happening. That's nobody's business. So at the same time, it's like, all right, if we go on pocket watch because what they put in the paper or they see how you do spend, but they don't see the taxes of your house. Oh, they don't know that your mom and your sisters and somebody got another house and it's taxes on them. They don't see that, your kids is going to private school and they ain't know that, I got bought out. So my contract, and I was just talking to a person and we having a conversation. He told me what my contract was. So people got to understand 7 years, $42 million. You ain't getting that. You ain't getting $42 million. I end up getting bought out. Team still owed me an extra 13 million. I had to go through court with that. I had to get taxes from Canadian taxes and getting returns and filing taxes properly, getting wages. My last 2 years, dog, and I tell you, my last 2 years, just because of a mishap from my accountant that didn't know how to handle international taxes, my wages was garnished my last 2 years. So I'm supposed to get a certain amount of money, dog. Every time I get a check is 000. Like, so I got to go and fight that to get recoup that money. That's court costs. I'm still paying. So it's a lot of things, but you got to go every day and you might get a phone call. Yo, dog, I'm fucked up out here. Can you help me out? Or yo, can you do this? Or you sit there like, damn, man. But you created some of these habits. I created some of this behavior. I created some of that by giving. And then it's a point where you got to say no, and that happens. And now it's like, damn, man. And then the last thing you need, somebody that you love or they love you. Now y'all got attitudes or y'all beefing a little bit because of this. It's an uncomfortable feeling. But again, whatever we went through, the thing that I enjoyed and the thing that I appreciated much was, hey, yo, dog, what's up, man? We ain't talking 2 minutes or we ain't talking 2 weeks or I see like, all right, this is what I feel. Well, this is what's going on. And you're one of the few people that I could actually tell the truth to because I thought I owed that to you. Fats, I can't do this right now. I got this. I can't do this right. I got that. Or give me a second. And like I said, that was the biggest thing. But again, man, we live and learn. And now we in position now. We keep growing from that space, man. I understand it. I know what to preach to my kids. So when I do tell people, man, if I had $1 billion, I'm not doing this, but I would do this. I hope people can take heed and have an understanding because a lot of people still don't understand that financial piece, dog. They still don't understand that responsibility.
Well, that's what I think is going on. Is that even for me, they say you got $50 million. Nobody understand is getting cut. Is you got bills, you bought a new house, you taking care of your. It seems like we hold that number up and feel like you didn't spend nothing until you give me some.
Yeah, yeah.
You still got all 50 mil. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering why you can't give me $10 million. I mean, you can't give me $10,000. You still, in my mind, you got all 50, ain't touching none of it.
Yep. Hey, dog. I love Aunt Darlene the best. So when I was a kid, Fats, she was like, my nephew going to the NBA. My nephew going, and I'm like, she like, Al, where you going? I'm going to the NBA. Facts. I was 5, 6, 7 years old. I ain't had no idea. I just know that I'm going to the NBA.
Mm-mm.
Luckily, I ended up going to the NBA. But she's like, and what you going to buy me when you go to the NBA? I'm getting you a red Mercedes Benz. That's all I used to say. I'm getting you a red Mercedes Benz. My dad ass ended up making it to the NBA.
What color Benz was it?
Benz. No, sir. But I'm thinking, right? But I felt guilty because this was something my aunt, Aunt Darlene, she was the best. Aunt Darlene used to buy me silk shirts from City Blue, Underwood. Like Aunt Darlene was there. Aunt Darlene was it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I couldn't do it, and I was like, yo, it's 12 of them. It's 12 siblings.
Mm-hmm.
Augusta passed, and I forgot. I think somebody else passed, but Augusta was the first sibling to pass. But I'm like, if I get Aunt Darlene a Mercedes, what I gotta do for the next 12?
Oh God.
You know what I mean? So again, it's that expectation, it's that lack of understanding. But I had to eat that. Now I had a 1993 Grand Cherokee that I ran into the dirt, and Aunt Darlene, you can have this.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got. But that red Mercedes Benz, dog, I couldn't do it, but I didn't know. But just guess what? If I didn't have my pop around, Guess what I would have tried to do?
You get it that red Mercedes.
Get it at Benz. And then I would have to get Uncle Clifford one. I had to
Mm-hmm.
get some, like just, and they didn't ask, but that would be the responsibility of the thought process. You get one something, you got to get them all something.
For sure.
So it's deep, man. But again, being able to talk about it, dog, it's therapeutic to me, man. Because it was a long time before I was vulnerable enough to tell somebody, like, dog, no, I don't have it, or I don't want to give it, or
Mm-hmm.
no, just no, dog. And love me or hate me, however it's going to be. But I know now that it's a relief to be able to get past that point. I hear when Mike Tyson was talking about he's happy or broke, and like, it's a real thing sometimes, man, because that pressure is real, man. And hopefully, people around you that you love and love you can appreciate it, understand it, and have some type of empathy. But you got to talk to them about it because they don't know either.
Well, that's the truth. The other side just don't know. And a smart thing for you to do is what you said. You try to think for them to realize none of us are educated in this process. Alvin, you wasn't educated on how to handle 50, $60 million. There was no blueprint to say, Al, you're going to receive this money. This is how you should do these things. So
Yep.
it's a learning process for you, me, the athlete, the entire family. And good for you. You had a mom and dad that kind of showed you structure and taught you how to put your foot down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a no is a no. You know what I mean? And if you're going to do it, do it. But all of us have to be educated in that space because the top dog, you yourself, are not as educated as any of us in this space to try to tell us how to manage this money, handle this money, how it should be divided, what piece I should get, what piece you should get. So even for me and you up to this point, it was a great learning curve for me and you to learn how to handle each other and how to work with each other. And you tell me no, I told you no. And we just learn how to get through this thing together where I think our next phase of life will be a lot smoother because we learn what it's like to manage that amount of money, to tell each other no, to get a fight with each other, to not speak to each other, to sit down at dinner with each other, and then sit back and realize, yo, let's just get this straight and work together because we learning on the fly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, the appreciation is there. And it's one of those things where you sit there and you be like, there's a lot of things you have to learn. There's a lot of behaviors you have to manage. There's a lot of expectations that you have to deal with. And at the end of the day, man, like none of us are perfect. None of us are perfect. None of us walk this earth perfect. But again, you just got to realize if you treat people fairly, and that was always my thing, dog. I'm gonna treat you fairly. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be straight up with you, and I'm gonna be who I'm gonna be. And again, like if you can't accept that, then you can't accept that. And we got to keep it moving. We got to keep it pushing because the big end of the day, now we all got different responsibilities. So our responsibilities and our priorities is something that's firsthand and you can't compromise that. For me, I know that's a non-negotiable. The kids, the college funds, putting them in place where they be all right, and then move forward with that. So it's one of the things. But again, it's an enjoyable part of life. And also, when you're a pro athlete and you get to these phases and you get the notoriety, we're taught and we're softened so much facts because we're taught off a thing of not trusting, but then trusting what you don't know. Like I had to trust it was heaven sent. Reggie Wilkes, my financial advisor. I had to trust, I don't know what, so I gotta, you know what, I'm gonna trust the fact you do the right thing. But I'm not learning, so to speak. I have to trust my agent. I have to trust this, but at the same time, you also taught we grew up not to trust.
Mm.
So now my senses is getting weakened because now I'm trusting something that I really don't know. You know what I mean? So now that permeates through all relationships. That goes through relationships. I don't really trust this. I don't know this. Then you don't know what to read. So that's why it's like you said, back to that yes man and brown of people that's really solid in that circle. That's really important to have because you're brought up in a society or in a culture of not trusting, but then you have to trust because you're not educated enough to handle the finances on your own and stuff like that. So it's tricky, dog. It's a tricky situation.
I'm just glad we touched on it because that's something me and you've been through, and I just wanted to share that with our viewers. But I
Yeah,
also
yeah.
wanted to change gears and
I see you looking at me. Yo, I ain't gonna lie, man. Them glasses is on point, dog. You're
whatever,
looking
man.
studious.
Yeah, whatever, man. So me being from North Philly, Diamond Street, over
North
the
side,
yeah
Mount Airy, over here.
over the last podcast, we had some people ask me to mention Hank, and I'd like to speak on Hank because Hank is a big time. he's big time aura in my neighborhood. Hank is so big in basketball. Not only is he big in basketball, Hank shoot dice on the corner. That's how much of the fabric he is to the projects that he's so down. Hank could be on TV one night and next week he'd be on Diamond shooting dice with us. So I wanted to talk about him a bit because he being from my neighborhood, he's a big deal. And in college, as a junior or senior, he played against Shaquille O'Neal, and he gave Shaq 48, 17, and I think 5 blocks. And not to knock Shaq, Shaq had tripped on him. Shaq had 24 points, 20 rebounds, 12 blocks. Abdul Rauf played in the game too, and so did Bo Kimball. And it was just a big game in my neighborhood, and everybody was happy that Hank had played really well against Shaq. Shaq was a freshman. Shaq and him won the game, but Hank did a crazy job, and Bo Kimball led the college league in scoring that year. But Hank being from my neighborhood and having a gym in my neighborhood, he was so much inspiration to everybody because he was one of us and was making it out and was getting to that level in life. And he meant a lot, so I wanted to bring him up and speak a bit about him. Shout out to his brother DG and Nunu and the Gathers family, that they all family. But did you have any reaction with Hank, and do you remember him dominating Shaq like that?
I don't remember. I mean, I remember the game. I remember them playing, but it's crazy because the year that he passed away, the summer, I was playing in developmental league, Sunny Hill League, down Gustine Lake. And that's when Sunny Hill would have, if it was sixth to eighth grade, in between games, halfway through, he would have people come speak. And this particular day this summer, Hank came and spoke to us. And I just remember his speech and being that young. You know, when you're that young, sometimes it's certain conversations, it's certain people that make an imprint and make it a crazy impression on you. And Hank was one of those guys. First of all, he looked like Hercules.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like Hercules. I ain't never see somebody cut up like that in person, like just being muscular and just being that figure. But his speech, it was a positive, but it was invigorating because it was one of them things where his energy, dog, it was like he played like a man child, like it was intense. It wasn't holding it wasn't holding nothing back. He was talking to kids, but if you want it, this is how you gotta go about it, right? You gotta go about it, your hard work, your effort, how you approach life every day. And he didn't say just basketball, he was like life.
Mm-hmm.
And then, fast forward, unfortunately, he passed away. He passed away that next season. And it was just something where not knowing him like you knew him and not being around the North Philly like that with him. But that one time, man, he spoke to us as a kid. It really stuck to me, man. And when he passed, it was earth shattering, dog. I remember having the chills. I remember not being able to sleep because it was a late night game when he passed out. And then I remember waking up in the morning and my mom told me, my mom from down there.
Mm-hmm.
So they knew. So it was, but Hank he was a man child. He's an undersized guy that was athletic, run the floor the way Loyola Marymount played. There was exciting basketball. And then you remember when Bo and Honor would shoot his free throws left-handed in
Mm-hmm.
honor of Hank. And they go all the way to I think past Sweet 16, might went to the Elite Eight, and they were a Cinderella team. That was a hell of a story, but Hank had a crazy impact in Philadelphia. He was an inspiration to us all, man.
Definitely. And me being a kid, left-handed kid down in my
Oh
neighborhood,
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
was, and he wore 44. He was just, he was a big deal to me, and a lot of love and respect. And some people that watched the cast had known I was from Diamond and said, "Hey, did you mention anything about Hank?" And I said, "Well, we'll get into that on our next episode." But Hank and his brother DG, I spent a lot of time with Derek. Not so much with Hank because I was still a kid, but if I came up on Diamond Street where most of the big boys was at as a kid, Hank would make sure he shook my hand and talk smack to me and make sure everything was cool. But what I really liked about him is that he was this huge figure, and at the same time, he would sit down and eat a bag of chips and a hug with you right on the corner as if you was his good friend, no different than anything else. And I had a lot of admiration for him being such a big star and still sitting on the stoop. What a crack addict or a homeless, he had no problem still being
Mhm.
real, still, what I mean, still being who he was. And I really admired that for him being the stud he was and how much of a star he became to see him come back and sit in the hood. And he didn't sign autographs. It was like he was normal. Hank wasn't famous. It was like, I'm home. I'm not famous. You know what I mean? So I had a lot of respect and love for the whole Gathers family. I just wanted to kind of touch on that before we get into another gear.
No, that's what we got to do too. We got to show homage and continue. I mean, y'all got a lot of people from down there, dog, and a lot of people haven't heard, but you know, you got your Dawn Staley's. You got a lot of people, man, that we got to pay homage to around our city. But starting off in that neighborhood, because that's 25th and Diamond Street, man. It ring bells all around that city anyway. So definitely got to keep paying homage to the great ones.
Oh, no doubt. Diamond Street produced a lot of good ball players, definitely through Gratz, through Dobbins, like you said, Dawn Staley from down there. Reds was a big time player in the city. Mike Blunt, uh, Rondell Turner.
Come on, dog. Stop naming all these Grats people, dog. Like
I mean,
it's other. Oh,
we're talking about North Philly, Diamond Street. But I'm just saying, Diamond Street produced a lot of good players.
no, no doubt.
And my gym at 25th and Diamond is a tough gym to play in, and I'm proud to be down from that area. And it's a lot of good players from that area.
No, for sure. No, for sure. It's crazy. I just rode down there. I see I got glass backboards outside and everything, man. Like I don't know how long that's been. That's how long it's been. I've been down there, but I was like, damn, this joint look all right down here, man.
Well, I mean, at some point, somebody got to do something. But let's get into gear and talk about this Canada thing you wanted to run past, and you was mentioning about how we were received and perceived up in Canada.
You know, the world is crazy, man, especially today. You see how it is. And you said something last time was when you first time you didn't experience or feel racism. And we know racism exists everywhere. You're after like everywhere, man, around this world. And you mentioned it, but I wanted you to elaborate on it because I know how I felt. And I know how the city and that country made me feel and how it made you feel and friends and family came to visit. But how did you feel? And elaborate with your feelings and your experience over there in Canada, especially in Toronto.
Well, when I got there, you put me into a 5-star hotel. You gave me a Range Rover. You gave me a bag of money. And from there, I was just doing my own thing because you would hit the road. You would have 10 road games, or 10 days away because of 5 road games. However it went,
Yep, yep,
you
yep.
would go away for 10, 12 days. And I'd have to be there alone by myself, which wasn't bad. But meeting people, going to restaurants, you put me in this hotel. I had to interact with so much people every day that I got to lower my level of awareness or that aggression us Philly people have of thinking everybody is out to get you or trying to figure out somebody's angle. And in Toronto, I had to lower that because there was no angle. People genuinely wanted to come out and shake your hand and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And if you had an American accent, they really wanted to just hear about the states. Hey, come on, talk to me some more. Give me some more about the states. And as over time, we would eat at that restaurant Muse.
Yeah.
Over time, I just realized everybody up there just all stood even, and there was no one higher than each other, and everybody just wanted to be friendly, and they wanted your story if you were American. They wanted to know what's it like to be an American, what's going on, and I learned that over time instead of having that brick wall that I would normally have up being from Philly. Being in Toronto, a lot of that went down because those people really genuinely just wanted to meet Alvin Williams' cousin. And, oh, you're from Philly? Oh, can you tell me a little bit about Philly? Is it true about the Rocky statue? Did he run up the steps? How's the cheesesteaks? They really wanted to absorb American culture or your city culture if you was American, if that makes any sense to you. And that felt like I was gaining a like-minded friends.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? They were on the same level of thinking, and there was no higher or lower. It was just merely, hey, you from America? You're Alvin's cousin. You're a cool guy. Let's, can you talk to me about anything? And um, that's what made me feel like there was no racism because everybody was nice, and there's a lot of races in that country. So I was hanging with people from Iceland. I have friends from Sri Lanka. I have friends from Vancouver. I have friends from Winnipeg, and everybody was really on the same page of showing love. And there was not this American dog eat dog thing.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
America is dog eat dog, and I think we're proud of that because we are like that. We serious. But in Canada, it wasn't that. It wasn't a dog eat dog. It was more be my neighbor, be my friend. I could take care of you, and it made me say what I said to you naturally. It made me feel like there was no racism for those reasons.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I was glad you experienced it, especially coming, like you said, we always thought North, we coming from North, coming from where you came from, and how we ended up in Toronto together, right? I gotta do it fast. And you know me, you know my personality. I'm gonna tell two stories. And Canada lets you get soft because one night we in the club, we outside the club, and me and you sitting there about to go in, waiting to go in. They sent us around the back, say go in around the back. But it was these people at the back door, and when we start walking, they start. You can laugh. They start running towards us.
Mm-hmm.
All I hear, and this is family. We talking to. Damn, I need my gun, and you took off
Mm-hmm.
and left me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, I'm like, yo, this is just they. I ain't even on that type time. I'm like, hey man, like, but you gotta feel like, nah, dog, they chilling out here, man. They just wanted to say hi, man. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you took off, but your P's and Q's was on you when you first got out there. And then the next story was we was about to go to the party after the 2001 playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe in 2002, we was going to the playoffs. Me, you, and another friend, and you was gunning it. You was speeding.
Mm-hmm.
You was speeding like a big dog.
Mm-hmm.
And we was about to go to the party. We
Mm-hmm.
hanging out. We about to have a good time. 1, 2, weather nice finally. And this day you done had your fitted on. You got your do-rag on. You got everything on. You North Philly. You fats.
Mm-hmm.
Cops, whoa, pull us over.
Mm-hmm.
When I say you whip the do-rag and everything off at the same time, uh, can I help you, officer? Yes, you've been speeding. You're doing 50 miles over the speed limit. Well, hold on. Let me ask you a question. Is that Canadian speed limit or American speed limit? He felt so guilty. He's like, all right, y'all just go ahead, man. But that's like you said, the energy not even on that, man. Like the way where we come from, cop pull us over. Hey, man, you'll never know where that can go. But it was just funny watching how we responded to those different situations that back home we
Mm-hmm.
know how they can go.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody just start chasing you, you better get out the way or be ready to do whatever, take fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
But and then a cop situation, but it was funny, lighthearted situations, but it also that was a part of what we knew, and that was part of Canada, man.
For sure. Where when I got there, my awareness and my street and my North Philly says like North Philly, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and so that kicked in. And I'm down for that anytime. And that's what happened that you lowered that awareness for me. And your man, Mr. Walker,
yeah. Walker
Walker
D. Russell.
D. He shout out to Walker D.
Yeah,
Spent a few time spent a few hours with me, and kind of coaching me, saying, "Hey, look, I'm from the same background as you. You can lower it a little down up here. You know what I mean?" Walker
yep.
D was like, "Hey, cool it out. I know you don't play around fats. You can lower it out here. You know what I mean? It's cool. I see how you protect Al, but you don't have to be that way out here." And so shout out to Walker D, man. That was a cool
No,
brother.
that's the man. He got me. He was a great coach, but like you said, off the court, he was
He
that too.
understood. Yeah, he
Yep,
understood. He definitely understood where I was coming from. So I really have respect for Walker D. Shout out to Walker D and his
yep,
son too, man.
yep. No,
So let's get into another gear, and I'd like to talk to you about. You said at one point Del Curry was a better shooter than Steph Curry. Was that prehistoric, or I don't know what you meant when you was telling me, because Del Curry was a teammate of yours. Am I correct?
you're definitely correct.
And I
You're
just
definitely
remember, I
correct.
remember you telling me Del Curry shit was cash. And would you
Yeah.
say he could beat Steph 1-on-one, or you said he was a better shooter? I don't know where you stood with that.
Well, he probably could beat Steph 1-on-1 and shoot
Whoa,
better than
whoa, whoa,
Steph
whoa, whoa,
when Steph was 10.
whoa. Okay, all right,
Yeah, no, ain't no like
all
it ain't even close. But I tell you, Del Curry was the first person, right, that I saw where it's like anytime he shoot and if he missed, you'd be surprised.
mm,
And I used to and Dell wasn't a great athlete, especially at this stage. You could remember all these guys was older, dog. Charles Oakley, Muggsy, Del Curry, Mark Jackson, D Brown. These guys were older in their career. But they were, when I say pros, prepared and still had game, man. And they used to, all of them, D Brown, all they used to tear fire to my ass, dog. And Del Curry, I used to have to chase him around, and his jump shot, man, unbelievable, dog. Unbelievable. So quick, great release. And Steph Curry, even at a younger age, because he would be at the gym with us. And like he'd get there before us and stay after him. I love playing one-on-one, playing him and his brother Seth. And when I say I couldn't give at the age of 11 or 12, I could not give him an open shot for game because it was cash. At 12, Steph, at 12, he was just like that from NBA range, dog. NBA range, shooting the ball, he could just shoot. And Seth, people, and I honestly, he could shoot, but his ball handling skills was crazy as a young boy. So both of them was talented, but they stayed in that gym. But I'm gonna take it back. I'm not taking it back. Yeah, Dell could shoot when Steph Curry was about 4 or 5 years old. He's a better shooter. But hey, great family, dog. Great family.
Good. I just remember us talking about that, and
Yeah.
we talking about one-on-ones, and you said you would have a hard time with certain players playing one-on-one.
Hmm.
I had a chance to play DeJuan Wagner one-on-one at John Harnett workouts, and shout out to DeJuan. He's probably like 15 or 16 at the time, but we checked ball, and I'm 6'6". I'm thinking, who is this kid? And the short story of it, he beat me 11-3, which never happens, but he could shoot the ball so well. We checked it up, and he shot the three and made it. And we checked it up, and he stepped back a little farther, and he made that one. Checked it up, he stepped back even further and made that one. And he checked it up, and I went all the way out there. He ran past me. To say, just getting to the one-on-ones, I had a hard time with DeJuan Wagner one-on-one, and shout out to DeJuan. But I mentioned that because you mentioned Steph and his pop, and I knew that Del Curry was a friend of yours. Was Doug Christie on the same team as you too?
Doug Christie was there. Doug Christie, ultimate professional, crazy shape. He had to, like, we everybody had to adjust their game a bit when Vince got there because
Mm-hmm.
Doug Curry was like, Doug Christie was our kind of like our scorer and one of our scorers, and he was a guy. But the DC went to point guard, played a little, but he became a defensive guy. As you saw when he went to Sacramento and took
Mm-hmm.
that team, he gave them a defensive identity. Him and Bobby Jackson, so those guys was dope. But when I say my teammates, dog, I can't, and I got to give them all shout outs at some point through our joints, dog. We got to talk because they all deserve their flowers. But I had a locker room of grown men in Toronto, like
Mm-hmm.
grown men, and even in Portland, dog. My teammates was all that Brian Grant, Stacey Augman, Sheed, and J.R. Ryder, K.A. Kenny Anderson. Arvinas Sabonis, like I remember John Crotty, like all these guys. I was fortunate to have these guys, but Doug Christie definitely was on that team, and the team adjusted a bit. But we had some vets. When I say grown ass men, family, finances, business, on the court, they any way you wanted it, they could give it to you, and it was great being around. It was an honor and a privilege because I grew up watching these guys. D Brown, 1991 dunk contest. It was in Charlotte. My pop took me and my buddy Dave Anwar, and who coaches at Mississippi State now. We drove to Charlotte for that All-Star game, and I predicted D Brown to win a dunk contest. And he won a dunk contest, the same three-point contest. Craig Hodges hit like 16 in a row. He won a three-point contest. I end up being in 1999 teammates with D Brown.
Damn.
So you just never know where life take you. And D
Yeah.
Brown was stickums. Come hang out with me. Come here, bug. We going out. Let's go get lunch. He knew when I was getting no minutes. Come on, young fella. Let's go get your mind right. Let's go get some lunch. Let's have a conversation. And he accepted me with his family, everything. But I'm like 1991. That was the dunk contest. I remember playing with Mark Jackson at five-star camp. He came and spoke to the camp, and I was probably like a junior sophomore. The next 2001, we teammates.
Mm-hmm.
I'm backing him up. So it's just I can't, my life with this pro sport thing and who I was able to be around and being such a fan and being able to play with Charles Oakley, my OG,
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Willis, Tony. We got to do it, dog. Like we give shout outs to everybody, but yeah, man.
Well, since you're talking about your veterans, I know you got love for the Davis, right? That's your guy,
And
but
Antonio.
that's your guy. That's your guy. But we spent some time. Me and you actually was fortunate enough to spend some time together with Charles Oakley, and I'd like to hear some of the thoughts of the relationship of you and Oakley. I know, but I'd like for our viewers to understand who Oakley is to you in your life.
Just somebody the realest of the real. And when I say real, it's not the tough guy.
Mm.
I got this perception where people may look at him as the bully. I ain't never seen him bully nothing, right? He stood up for what was right and what he thought was right. And he expressed himself however it needed to be expressed. And he was a guy too that would defend you against ownership. He would defend you against the coaches. He would defend you against the opponents if they tried to foul you hard. He would do that, and then he would be hard on you during practice. He'd be hard on you during the game. He'd call you out in the media. It ain't none of this soft stuff now. You can't talk about nobody. And nah, if you played bad, if Vince Carter played bad, he's on Vince's ass in the media, in the locker room. And then guess what? After that, come on, man, let me cook for you because he loved cooking. Come over to the crib. I got something for you. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
before we go to any game, he's bringing lunch and we all eat before we get on the planes. Like he was that guy. He was a guy, you know what? You look like you got to start wearing some suits. Let me take you go get you some suits, man. Let me take you out. Let me do this. And you're not paying for nothing. You're
Mm-hmm.
not paying for nothing on his dime. And it was just, when I say a good human being, man. And he just somebody that took me under his wing. And we just always stay connected. Just talked to him the other day. Just talked to him the other day. And he's just one of those guys where watching him play and a perception of him, but nobody really knew the truth unless you know him about who he is as a man.
Well, I mean, I was fortunate enough to go to dinner with y'all one night, and shout out to Charles Oakley.
Oh my
Um,
God.
he brought down the bottles of liquor that me and you were actually drinking. So I think I was drinking Remy at the time. Maybe you was drinking Henny. Maybe he was on tequila, but he brought the actual bottle to the table after we finished dinner, and it was shot for shot. And he put us in the bed early. Need to say that night he made sure he made sure we got home before 12 that night.
Hey, I tell you a story, dog, and it's not I tell the story, but he had me out one night and I left early and I got a little sick. I got a little sick in the club. And I remember the bouncers was walking me out. I said, nah, man. I had bad shrimp. I just had an allergic reaction. Hey, dog, I could not keep it down, but I was
Oh yeah, basketball season is around the corner. Do you have any favorites? Do you have any picks? Do you get some of your opinion on this season, Alvin?
well, it's hard right now, but I'm going with Toronto Raptors.
Whoa, whoa,
You
whoa,
know,
whoa, 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 whoa. Hold up, Al. Hold up.
what's up?
You're going with Toronto Raptors to do.
Make the playoffs. It's a playoff team. And as we seen this past year, you get in the playoffs, Indiana Pacers, who knows what's going to happen? Ain't nobody had Indiana making it to the finals. You got to get in the playoffs. And Toronto Raptors this year, they got a great opportunity to make it to the playoffs with the addition of Brandon Ingram, a bona fide scorer, underrated passer, unselfish player, but can score with the best of them. You got Scotty Barnes, who's your big time favorite. He's an all do it all type of player. You got Jakob Pertl, who's a big 7-footer defensively, catch, finish around the basket. RJ Barrett getting better. Like you have some pieces coming together now, man. Emmanuel quickly, and you got young guys growing up. So I think, especially the way the East is with Boston, they may struggle a bit with no Tatum. Indiana struggle a little bit with no Halliburton. But I think the door is going to be open for a team to sneak up in there and get to the finals this year. So I got Toronto Raptors, as my dark horse coming out of the East.
I mean, that's a real dark horse. I know that much.
Oh wow.
that's a
Wow.
that's a real dark horse, and I'm gonna let you have that because I know how loyal you are to situations, and I know that Toronto has been there for you. I understand where you're coming from, but they're not even in the race for me coming out of the East, and I think it's gonna be an interesting season. I'm interested to see what Skinny Luca do. I'm a big
Ooh.
fan of Skinny Luca. I'm a big fan of Giannis. I want to see what your Villanova boys do, Jalen and that crew up in New York. How did they put that together, Al? How did all those Villanova guys get to New York?
It's only three of them. I mean, the timing was about, you know what I mean, Mikal Bridges was up and it made sense for them. And, you got Josh Hart who was there, Jalen, of course. But even with them, as exciting it is, as much as I love Jalen and Josh and Mikal, the Villanova brethren, they're going to have to change their style of play. Now they got a new coach. Mike Brown's going to come in there, and Mike Brown really does a good job early in his coaching tenures with teams, making adjustments, making changes. But I think Jalen's going to have to adjust his game a bit. Can't do it all. He's going to have to, you know what I mean, incorporate players more and more throughout the game and not just at certain stages. Throughout the game, he has to empower his players a little bit more. He's shown he's a bona fide scorer. He's a bucket. He's a game changer. He's a game closer. But I think those guys, the way the game is played now, it has to be players have to get more of a deeper role, more of a playmaking role, and he's going to have to allow that. So I think if he can do that, and that team can, people, other players can grow, they're going to be a tough team. They're going to be a tough team to beat because they got the experience now too. They got the experience playing with one another, and they've been knocking on the door the past couple of years.
Yeah, I like Cat being a add on to them. I think he was better situated there, and I think he performed better in that situation. Having some shooting around him. Cat had a good season last year, and I don't want to say I'm a big Cat fan, but he had a nice season last year, and I'm looking forward to the Knicks. Not so big on the Sixers. Um, I don't really have an East team. I think the West is
I just
probably
I just gave you one, dog.
no. I was being for real. I don't have a team coming out the East permanent. No, I just think in the East, would you agree Giannis is the best player in the East?
Um, yeah, I mean, shit, he's right there. I mean, he's one of the best players in the East, West, North,
No,
South.
sorry.
Yeah, he's one of the best. But again, it's about who you put around you. It's the days of getting three players and letting those three players take you big three and whatever they call it. You got to put teams around. You got to place those players, other players around those superstars. And those superstars, they have to learn how to make those players grow around them. So it's a science behind it once they get on that floor. But Giannis, he's a monster, man. He's a monster. But he alone is not going to do it. You know what I mean? Other players are going to have to step up. And that's the thing. A lot of these other players are more versatile. Teams are more versatile and more diverse when it comes to their playing style. So it's going to be a challenge for Milwaukee.
Mm, I just think he won that one championship by himself. I mean,
No, no, Fats.
the,
No,
the guy helped out a little bit, but that was
no,
Giannis. I mean, you
no,
can't be scoring 50 and 14 in the last game and act like that wasn't all his work.
no. It wasn't.
It was his
It
work.
wasn't.
That was all his
No.
work.
He does that, right? But check
Yeah.
this out. Check this out. Chris Middleton was finishing games. Like Chris Middleton was getting a rock, making mid-range, making three-pointers, stuff that Giannis struggled to do because teams, they collapse. They make a wall, they make him go through three and four players. But without Chris Middleton, without Drew Holiday, without Brooke Lopez spacing, without these guys, man, without Bobby Portis coming off that bench, like that ain't he not gonna get that. He gonna get his numbers, he gonna get the L. So he
No,
definitely
I'm
ain't do
with
it
you
by
there.
himself.
No, it's a team sport, but in most of those games, he carried the load, which
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
Giannis.
yeah.
I
No,
don't
yeah.
want to I don't want to take that from him. Where the help is, that's what they paid them guys to do to help, and they helped. But this was Giannis' championship.
Yeah, no,
But
no doubt.
I'm also interested in Skinny Luca and LeBron, um, Kevin Durant and the Rockets. I want to see Shea and them run it back. It's going to be a good season. I
Yeah.
think the West is more interesting than the East. The East seemed like it kind of stayed the same, where the West, the seats changed a lot, and everybody's always worried about or curious to see if the Warriors going to perform. We all want to see if the Clippers look good in last year playoffs until what was that the shot by Jokic that Gordon
Gordon.
came and yeah,
Yeah.
Gordon dunked it in. So it wasn't like they was playing bad. But the West seems a little more interesting with a bunch of those teams out there. Sacramento got better. Denver's always good. So I'm interested just for the playoffs, and I can't wait for us to start our show to start talking about basketball.
No, we're gonna get into it and we're gonna see how these training camps and this preseason health, finalizing these rosters and all that type of stuff. But to your point, OKC, I'm interested to see what those young fellas are gonna do over there because they grew. A lot of times throughout the season, throughout seasons, you get better. And the players is going to get better. They seem like they all understand their role. They understand their responsibilities. Defensively, they're all dogs. They're on the same string. But it's one of those things. You keep talking about skinny Luca. And he got a physique. I don't know if he's modeling or whatever. We know he got game. I think the biggest thing I'm looking for is to see his actions. Defensively, one thing that bothers the hell out of me with him is how he always hound the referees. He's always complaining. He's always doing those things. Now, as a great player, but I think at some point you got to become mature enough to make sure you understand like your actions, your emotions, you complaining. Sometimes it might not affect LeBron James, but it might affect somebody else. It might Reeves. It might affect somebody else. But like, just get back, play the game, concentrate on the main thing. And I think with him, he got into a position where he's allowed to get at the referees and they give him that leeway and it's whatever. But I think he has to get to that part. We know he has the game. We know he can carry a team. We know he can beat a team by himself. But I think the other part is him being a leader, being a face of an organization. That's the things that have to improve for him.
So this is what I think with a lot of the athletes, and it happens to you too. It happens to very good athletes is that you control as much as you win. And Luca has had it where he got from his country winning. He's got here, he's winning. He's got the Dallas, and he won and performed at such a high rate. How do you chastise a Luka Doncic if he taking you to the Western Conference Finals? If you telling him, look, man, stop complaining at the refs, because I feel the same way you feel about that referee thing. But if it's going to get us to the finals, you know, I think that's his madness where he's been spoiled from 15 years old. And
Yeah.
as long as he perform, that behavior is tolerated.
Hmm.
Same with Allen Iverson. Same with any superstar, Rasheed Wallace. When you're that good and you perform, what you told me about Stacey Augmon. You said the coach put him on a bench, and at halftime he came and flipped the whole fruit tray over, and he didn't take him out the game the second half. My point is that behavior is warranted in sports. Draymond Green, Dennis Rodman. It's definitely warranted when you can perform. Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, Luka Doncic. So I hear you when you say complain about the refs and some of the things about Luka, but when you perform so well, it's really hard for anybody in the main office to chastise you. You won the game, but the manager or the coach is going to say, look, Luka, I need you to stop. Yeah, come on. It's just hard to chastise somebody with that talent.
Like Michael Finley took the beer from him after they got to the finals in the hallway. Michael Finley said, "Give me that, man." But you said it earlier, right? Yes, man. When things is going good, everybody's going to allow you to do what you want to do until you can't do it anymore. And now you're on the outside looking in, like, damn, man, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Like we can go down the list, and you see a lot of times when you're not as good, when you're not jumping as high, when somebody else, a younger person come in or the team takes a different direction. Dallas Mavericks, they traded him. Like as good as he was doing, something's there that caused that to happen. Who knows what it is? We have our thoughts, we have our opinions, but you only a few players can get away with that. Luca being one of them. LeBron, these guys, but at some point, you got to realize if you want to go to that next level, your actions are impacting everybody else. And at some point, they could pull a plug. These people upstairs are not going to let you run around and create havoc and be a fool. And at the bottom line, it's going to cost them the bottom dollar, their dollar. So to your point, it's hard to say that, but at some point, somebody has to be there. It has to be a leader to take a young kid and say, this is how you conduct yourself as a professional. So when you get to that phase, when you get to the championship, when you become a 5, 6 year vet, you need to know how to run a team. You talk about the Sixers. That's what Embiid and that's what Ben Simmons was missing. They had the
Yeah.
lineup, they had the
Mhm.
setup, they had everything, but they did not have that one person there that they respected. The team gave them autonomy and gave them permission to correct them when the young fellas was wrong. And now you look at them now, one almost probably be out the league as a young player. And Embiid, he's looking like he's going to be on the outside looking in because of the injuries and because of how he conducts himself from what they say. But I know for a man, like Embiid was a guy who was a dog. He wanted to play, he wanted to dominate. And I think if you don't get those good habits and that foundation earlier from a vet, every day, how to be a professional, how to lead a team, how to win, how to prepare yourself. It's only going to get worse as you get older unless you find that person that can help you.
Well, I was a witness to that when we got to Toronto. I think a year after we got there, they gave Jalen Rose 100 million or something like that.
Well, no, Jay always was paid, but I don't know what they.
But the Raptors gave him a lot, and when he got to the Raptors, he was there with a high expectation. He was there with a continuing y'all playoff wins, and I think his first year he played well. But Toronto's such a wild place. It seemed like he was in his after years and doing a little more partying and not being a high end athlete at that stage of his life. Where when he got to Toronto, I felt like he was received as a savior, or he's gonna help us win. And I feel like the next year he was on the decline, where he wasn't that sought after athlete like he was when he originally got to Toronto. So to your point
Yeah.
about your way making your way to the outside of it, or when you're the man, you're the man. But when your time expires, or they almost passed you or over you, then that's just how the ball dropped. But Jalen seemed like he came in there, and shout out to Jay too, man. He used to come get a haircut at the spot, play the game with us, and burn it down a little bit. But he was a high end athlete coming to the Raptors when he came, and by the time he was leaving, they had the door wide open for
No, that's the NBA.
him.
The other thing, but Jay came in, and Jay came in with the reputation, came in with the game, and again, Toronto was still new, so to speak, and he had the name, and at that time, Toronto pretty much was thirsting for big names because you
Hmm.
got to think about the narrative. Nobody wanted to go play in Canada. Nobody wanted to go to Toronto. And then when you have somebody like Jalen Rose come in, be like, hey man, and he's out. Jalen is making himself available to the fans. He's open, he's personable. And now the fans are like, wow, man, it's Jalen Rose because he was in Indiana and Chicago cooking our face. Like he
Hmm.
was, so he come in, everybody's expecting that. But at the same time, he's coming in playing with a Vince Carter. So now he has to fit in. It's a new city. So everything happens for a reason with that. But to your point, when you can't play as at that level, they're gonna walk you out. We've seen it. We seen it with the best of them. And that's just what happens though.
Yeah, that happens with the league. I'm excited for the season to start. I'm glad we got to do this second podcast, our second episode, a check game, and we look forward to doing this again next week. I think we're going to shoot every week. Make sure we get our podcast out every Friday, and it's good sitting talking to you, man.
No, it's always good. And we're gonna catch up. But I think giving our viewers an opportunity, if they got any requests or any conversations because we've seen a lot, we experienced a lot, and I want to be open to have those conversations. And it could be finances, it could be emotion, it could be family, it could be, I mean, death, life, whatever it is, because it's a human element to it, and we both got that experience. And that's the one thing we said when we do this and we have our conversation, it's going to be meaningful, it's going to have purpose behind it, and it's going to impact and help others when they listen to it and how they can reflect. We get to I want to talk about youth sports and how it changed from when we was kids to what it is now, such a multi-billion-dollar business. So it's always good chopping it up, sitting with you, man, having a conversation, laughing, reminiscing, and just sharing with you, brother.